Hello and welcome, guys, to another one of our Music Mondays. We have a very special guest with us today. You want to invite your friends, like, tag, share, because you don't want to miss what she has to say. And once again, for those who may not know, my name is Renee West. I am the CEO and founder of Alia School of Art, where we are impacting our community's social, emotional, physical, and spiritual needs through arts and education. Please come join us. Check out what we're doing. You can visit our website at www.aliaschoolofart.com or find us and follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Alia School of Art. Well, without further ado, hi, Miss Jawanah, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Well, we're so excited to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm also excited.
That's excellent. So first, let's take it back. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and how you got started in the world of vocal performance.
Well, my name is Jawanah Connor. I'm a wife and a mother of four. I've also spent most of my education in early childhood and now in social work. But when it comes to music, I started singing as a little girl in church, joined choirs, for my home church. And as I got older, I also sang at Rutgers University. We had the Liberated Gospel Choir where we toured every spring. And then like about around 18, I would say I started writing and recording in the studio with my cousin. I'm from New Jersey. So that's where I started most of my music career.
Okay, interesting. Now, did you come from a musical family?
Yes, my grandfather, he had a gospel group down south. So it kind of like trickled down to, my aunts. My aunts, they always got together and sang with my mother. My mother was a praise and worship leader. So from the time I was about 5 or 7, we were basically put, me, my brother, my sisters, and my cousins, we were put in a choir at a very young age, and we used to sing at church. So.
Okay, nice. So you guys came from a musical background. That's good to know. And so you mentioned that it was later on in your walk in music that you decided to delve into songwriting. Can you tell us what prompted that transition for you?
It's just one day I just tried to start writing. It was never something that I really thought that I could do. So I just started, just writing. I would have tracks, people give me tracks, and I just tried. So I said, let me see if I can write. I started writing songs, and they started to come naturally. And then I noticed as I started trying, I started having dreams about songs, and God would give me the lyrics in my dream. So I started using my voice memo on my phone. I would put it by my bed so that I wouldn't lose the lyrics, because sometimes I would be tired. I'm like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning, but I would forget the whole song. So I was like, let me start, keeping that by my bed. So that's how it kind of started.
That's incredible. Oh, I love that. And oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many times I had a dream with music. I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. When I wake up, it's all gone away. But wow, so you were receiving divine downloads. I like that. So I know that you have a new project. Can you tell us about your project?
Yes. Well, I started with Dome Music Group, which is the label that I'm with now. I started with them, I would say, earlier this year. My daughter and I recorded a song called So in Love. We recorded it at a studio by the name of GLA out here in Rosedale. And it just came together with my daughter producing it and with the engineer, and it just all came together. And the song is basically about how God is the lover of your soul.
Okay, so would you consider yourself a gospel artist?
Yes, I definitely would consider myself a gospel artist. I also love different, a whole lot of different other genres of music. My other genre will probably be neo soul. So eventually I probably will also be putting out some ballads of different styles, but gospel is definitely my favorite genre.
Okay, excellent. And let's take a step back because many of our audience members may not know where you're at. Can you tell us what state you're in?
Well, at this time, I live in Maryland. I'm in Baltimore. Like I said, I'm from New Jersey, but I've been out here for a while now, so I've kind of adapted to the DMV area of, you know, lifestyle, how things go out here. And the good thing about being out here is it's a huge population for gospel music. Like I said, Dome Music Group is the label that I'm on, and they are affiliated with a whole different lot of different artists, especially artists like Divine of Annapolis, Fisher Girls. You know, these are some of the groups that are on a label.
Okay, so she's in our neck of the woods, guys. You can hit her up
Yeah.
if you're in the Baltimore City area. All right. Now, I know many times when we work on our various projects, there's something that a mission that we have behind what it is that we're doing, and something that we want the audience members to get from it. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what is your mission behind this project that you currently launched, and what is it that you want your audience to take from it?
So the song basically is called So in Love, and it kind of reminds me of a lullaby, you know, the kind that you sing to a baby to soothe them. And that's kind of the idea that I had. I'm hoping that when people hear the song, that they'll feel any anxiety or any stress or any worry that they're feeling, that song can help calm their spirit.
I like that. Now, let's talk a little bit about music. We know that each art genre, it holds its own innate power and ability to touch us in different ways. But can you talk a little bit about music, since we're talking about music, the power behind music and what it does to change and transform people's lives?
I think for me, even as a little girl, I realized that music had the ability to shift the atmosphere. It can, if you ever notice, if you're feeling depressed or down, if you just turn on music and listen to maybe one of your favorite songs, it could automatically change your mood, which is basically it's changing your spirit. And we know that the spirit is the strongest part of our body. So if that is uplifted, then it'll make us feel better.
Nice. Now, on the contrary, what do you think might happen if we listen to maybe some music that's maybe giving us a negative message?
Well, one thing we know about our spirits, they're very sensitive. And a lot of times, sometimes if you, just say for instance, if you walk into a grocery store, they could be playing the song that you've never heard, and then you'll walk out and you'll be singing the lyrics. So that's the one thing that we have to know when we listen to music that gives a negative connotation, that those lyrics are basically now in our spirit. So we have to be careful with, you know, the types of damage that it can do.
Ah, I see. Okay, good. So, can you tell us what it was like creating this project?
It was really fun. I think it was fun because this was the first song that my daughter and I, Camille, did together. So it was fun because we got to experience, you know, just the building process, her process of becoming a musician, becoming a producer. So it just was fun to do. You know, we got the chance to spend time together, do different arrangements, you know, just spend time together. That's why this project is so special to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, can you tell us a little bit about Camille? So I know Camille personally, but I know our audience doesn't know Camille, and she is a tremendous woman. Can you tell us who she is and the things that she does?
Well, she's my oldest daughter. And when she was little, she had an interest in playing the drums. So she started out playing drums about third grade, somewhere around there. So that's probably her heart, percussion. And I would say she might have been around ninth or eighth grade. My husband and I, we bought her a keyboard. And she never had any lessons. She just started playing. So I was like, wow, she just picks up on these instruments. So she started there. She was at Baltimore School for the Arts at the Twigs program. She got into the Twigs program while she was in elementary school. And she stayed in the Twigs program for percussion. At the time, she was the only female percussionist. So she stayed there, and then she auditioned for high school. So she went there and she graduated from Baltimore School for the Arts in the percussion. And she just, you know, she took it a step further and went to Essex to get her musical engineer license. So she's just, you know, she does production. She also does engineering. So it's just fun to have, it's fun, but it's also a privilege to have somebody that close to me be able to do all those things.
That's awesome. So guys, if you need somebody to mix up your work and help you write and produce, Camille is the woman. I'm telling you, she's very talented, very talented. Um, let's talk a little bit about what are some of your most memorable moments and achievements in music that you have experienced in the past.
I would say one of my most memorable moments would be back in 2017. I received an award for the New Artist of the Year for the Newsome Gospel Awards. I actually have it here. It's really, really nice. I was so excited when I received it. It basically, the awards, they basically cover most of the East Coast, but it's the whole United States. And it's really well known out here in the DMV area. So it was really an honor. I was very excited to receive that award.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you've been nominated many times for many different awards, correct?
Yes. Well, one of the awards I got nominated for was the Agape Awards with Miss Kitcher Williams. I had to fly down to Florida for the nomination. I didn't win, but it was a beautiful opportunity.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Well, so let's talk a little bit about music. So a lot of musicians will say that music defines them, or they are music, or they are whatever it is. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you believe that music should define us? And along with that, do you think that we should, or how should we go about not allowing music to become an idol in our life?
I think that's a very important question because the reason why we shouldn't let it define us or let it become an idol is because it could definitely cause you to go into a state of depression, because a lot of times you're expecting certain things to happen at a certain time. You're expecting to be at a certain place in your career. And it's something that as artists, it's something that we constantly think about. But you have to learn how to allow God to kind of just let your steps be ordered. Somebody like me who started at 18 and I'm 41 now, and that long of a time to not really have anything really happening besides the fact that I did serve as a praise and worship leader, which is one of my ministries and one of my calls. But, not to have anything really big and extravagant happen, it can make you think that, well, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't be putting out any music, I shouldn't be trying. But when it becomes an idol, that's what it does. It has you constantly reaching for something that you may never reach, when you basically should just be, just exemplifying your gift to the world, and whatever happens, it happens, and that's kind of how you have to look at it. You have to look at it that I'm giving what God has given me to the world.
I tell you, I mean, I believe that our intentions and motives can make or break us sometimes. And I think it really speaks to intentions and motives. One thing that I learned, I'm a dancer, but when you allow that to be your identity, if it's ever taken away, you're broken. And I don't believe that that is what God wants for us. I don't think that what we do shouldn't break us down because we're more than that. We're creations of the Most High, and we're not just solely what we do. So I like the fact that you pulled that out and that you spoke about that. I think that is so important. How do you think we should go about keeping our art form from being an idol or something that we only look to, that we eat, sleep, and breathe that? Because in my personal walk, I have found that can be very dangerous.
So when it comes to music and not allowing it to define you, it's really, really important that you don't allow it to be your everything. Because what happens is it can cause depression, it can cause anxiety, it can cause, just things that God maybe didn't ordain to happen in your life. You don't know that. There's a scripture that says, hope defers makes the heart sick. But when the desire comes through, it'll be like a tree of life. So sometimes you have to know that, you can't allow that hope to make you sick, because when God allows it to bring it to fruition, we know that trees produce fruit. So it's going to produce fruit and it's going to produce life. It's not going to produce death. So that's always been one of my favorite scriptures, because during the times when, I was asking God, what it is that you're going to do with my gift, I had to allow those scriptures to minister to me. But so it's really important just to allow everything in your life to be a part of your life, your family, your children, your husband, what it is. Those are the things that God has given us to really hold on to. So.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. So these are some, I like that. That's some good insight. These are some words of wisdom. Now I want to take a step back because you talked about how you, in your mind, you in your heart, you felt like, well, at this age, I should be here and I should be doing this. But one thing that I have come to find is that sometimes a no is actually God's protection for our life. And sometimes we want to walk through a certain door so badly, but I have found that the Lord will actually shut it because he knows what's on the other side, and he knows that it will actually be destruction for us rather than what you said. You mentioned a tree of life and something that bears fruit and something that is positive. Can you think of a time where you wanted to do something so badly, you thought for sure that this was something that you should be doing, but it didn't quite work out the way that you expected, but in the end, when you look back, you realize it was actually for your benefit and for your good?
Well, fortunately, God never let me experience what it would have felt like on the other side. But I'm pretty sure there was a lot of doors that he protected me from. I did multiple auditions, and it's funny because when you see the people who actually made it, you knew that you were better than them. So you know that God was protecting you from something. You just don't know what that something was. So I would say that would be one of my examples, because you know that you know when you're gifted, and you know that you spend the time, you've honed your craft, you've done everything that you're supposed to do, but he just will not allow that door to be open. And like I said, fortunately, I didn't know what was behind the door. So I'm just grateful that he didn't allow it to happen, because we know that he is the author and the finisher of everything. So if he doesn't allow it to open, then I would have to say that it was for my good.
That's excellent. I think that's a very sober way to look at it. And I mean, you have a family. How many children do you have?
I have 4.
So you have 4 children, you have a husband. I can only imagine that some of those doors, it might have been detrimental for your family, depending on, especially with some of these opportunities that avail themselves to artists. They want you to travel and be here and be there and be all these places. And it really takes away from your household sometimes when it's really crucial for you to be there. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very great point. Me knowing that being around my family, my husband and my children is something that, although I thought I may have wanted to travel, I know that I would not want to be away from them. That's something that I know I probably would have never been able to handle. Just being all over the place, not knowing what's going on with my children, just, their careers, their education, things that they need to do, my first ministry, just making sure that they have me in their life. That's really, really important. So for me, that would have never really worked for me, but and it's funny now that my children are getting older. Now doors are starting to open, and that's God, it's just in his timing. He knows the time, and he knows what would work best for me and also for my family. So now things are starting to happen. So I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is something, his timing. So, one of the things that I think people on the outside, or maybe even young artists, they may look at a more mature, more established artist. Here you are, you won an award, you're launching, your new album, you're doing a Christmas album that I know you're going to talk about a little bit later. And people may look at that and they may think, wow. That seems so easy. Let me just hop up and let me just do this, or let me just do that. But I know that there are some hard realities and that we need to swallow when we consider the fact that, wow, I really got to do this to get here. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Just the reality of, I have a gift and I want to take it now in the professional arena. What are some stark realities and some things that we have to do in order to get from A to B?
Well, for me, for my personal testimony, first of all, I had to wait how many years? So this was definitely not an overnight for me. I waited over 20 years. So that was the first hurdle for me. The second one would be that, you have to hone your craft so that you actually sound good. You don't want to just put out just anything. You want your project to, just because it's gospel music, it can't just be spiritual. It has to also sound good. So you want those things to happen. But after it, COVID hit, and I lost my job. So I said, I'm gonna work on my project. And the thing about it with this year, I would say this was the first year that it became easy to me, because it was almost like God just put the steps in order. Everything, it just kind of fell in line. It was like, okay, you just have to get your pictures. Okay, now you have to get your song, get it uploaded. Make sure you have the right look. So it just kind of like fell in line, because everything, all these years I had been building on it. But the reality of it is, after that, now you have to wait and see the result. And the result is a building process. So now that you put the project out, you can't expect that you're going to sell millions. I'm still, as long as I've been in this industry, I'm still a new artist. All these years, I'm still considered a new artist, so I have to now wait that process out for people to buy it, for people to stream it, for people to know who I am. I've lived in 3 different states, but predominantly 2 different states. And although they know me in Jersey and they know me in Maryland now, I still have to build my audience. So I would say that's the hard part about it, is building the audience. And when you're a mainstream artist and you're with a major label, they do that part. But when you're an independent artist, you have to do that part yourself. So that's the reality of it.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yes, I think a lot of times people overlook the details of what it takes to get from here to here to here, and the waiting. And I like what you said about relationship. I think that's so important, so crucial. I'm new here in the Baltimore area, but one of the things that I learned early on was the importance of relationship. Well, I was able to establish that relationship in Philadelphia because I was there so long. In New Jersey, because I was actually raised and I grew up in New Jersey, I was able to do that. But now I have to reestablish relationships here in Baltimore, Maryland, and it takes time. But one of the things that myself and one of my board members, who is also my husband, that we have been doing is literally taking the time to go out in the streets every weekend, meet with the people, talk with the people, serve the community, serve, different populations. We're serving the homeless population, we're serving the youth, we're serving the older people. But that relationship part is so important and crucial to people knowing who you are. Is what you have really palatable and important to them? I mean, it is, if you're making yourself of importance to them. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I've been here for over 10 years now. I've had the privilege to serve in several different ministries. So serving on the praise and worship team, serving as praise and worship leaders for different ministries, but also working with the youth. I work with girls mainly, with building the dance team. And we were able to put on several productions, and, working with the children's church, just being able to minister to kids during children's church, things like that. We have different discussions during children's church. We talk about the word, but we also talk about things that they may be going through. So just being able to serve the youth, and being able to minister to people over the last 10 years that I've been here. So yeah, I've had to do my part. And, to be honest with you, I've only been paid at one ministry, so it wasn't for money. I've done this for free, so I had to give my service also.
That's excellent. There you go, service. We have to serve others. It's not just about, woo, I sound so great and I'm singing and I'm on stage, but it's also about service and what we give back to the community. I love that. That is excellent. So I want you to talk about something that a lot of artists, I believe, kind of struggle with, and that is holding on to our uniqueness and what makes us unique, what makes us stand out from others, as opposed to trying to follow the crowd or fall into tradition. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think sometimes as gospel artists, especially, we run into the problem of trying to sound like everybody else. Since gospel music has that certain sound, people want to be able to do all the runs and things like that. But I think my influence is because I love different genres of music. My influence comes from neo soul, it comes from R&B, it comes from, just different sounds. So when I actually started writing my own music, my sound didn't come out like a traditional gospel song. And I was thinking to myself, like, I'm trying to make it sound like this, but it's just not sounding like that. So I stopped doing it. And I thought, well, you know what? God didn't want me to sound like that. And I'm glad he didn't, because I really don't want to turn on the radio and hear the same person over and over and over again. So now when I write my music, I just allow it to be what it is that he wants it to be. It might come out praise and worshipy. It may come out traditional, but most of my music has more of a soul sound to it. And that's not on purpose. It's just how it comes out when I sing it. So I could finally accept that. I'm not trying to be like anybody else. I'm just going to be like myself.
That's excellent. That's so, so important. And I think we fall into that trap a lot as artists in many different genres. Now, let's talk a little bit about gospel. So I know you came out, you've come up through the ranks, and you've seen some of the changes and the shifts in the industry of gospel. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it started off and how certain people opened up certain doors and opportunities for gospel to be a broader spectrum of art accepted by more of the community?
I can definitely remember where it started. I remember mainstream kind of broke out when Kirk Franklin came out. I remember him being one of the first artists on FM radio, because, they never allowed us to really have our music on FM. That kind of like kicked in the door for us to kind of be what they would call mainstream. But it's basically just had its, its steps. And then, some of the Thai tributes came out, so then you got the crossover, to where now we're able to reach some of the children who might not listen to a traditional gospel song, So I think a lot of that kind of like paved the way. Now, if you go anywhere in any state, you're going to get an FM gospel station. And that to me is really, it's exciting. I still think we still have another step to take. I believe that more artists should be more so on the mainstream channels. I shouldn't have to call a gospel station to hear a gospel song. I should be able to request a gospel song on a regular FM station. So I think we still have that mountain to climb to be more mainstream.
I love it. I love it. Have you faced any challenges in your journey as a gospel artist, or maybe as a young woman? Have there been any challenges that you have faced? Maybe especially, we know that the church tends to be very traditional at times. Have there been any challenges that you have encountered?
I can't say that I've encountered any challenges in the church with my music, because my lyrics, I would say anything that I sing is going to be acceptable in the church. I think the challenge would be, just say if I was invited to, I would say, more like a secular venue, how would I adjust to that? And that's something that I've been kind of talking to myself about. How can we bring gospel music to the secular world and be able to deliver the message in a way that they can receive it? So if you go to like a venue where there's a whole bunch of different artists, most of the artists are going to be secular, most of them going to be mainstream, and you're the only gospel artist. How can you come across to them not preaching or sounding churchy, but allow your music to minister to them the same way?
That's excellent. I like the fact that you brought up that point, and I think it's very important. I was listening to a gentleman, he was sharing his testimony on another broadcast, but one of the things he talked about was that his father used to make these delicious like balls with Rice Krispie treats, and so he could catch catfish. But he said that when he went to California, the fish out there did not like that. So he talked about the fact that you need different bait to catch different fish. Not that we're catching anyone, but people speak different languages. So we need to know how to, if we're going to be versatile, we need to understand and know how to talk to the artist. Well, how do you talk to the business person? Well, how do you talk to the educator? How do you talk to the student? We need to be versatile enough to be able to have these conversations and communicate with these different people. And I definitely think that's important.
Yeah, I think the first step is actually, we have to get rid of tradition. Tradition basically puts you in a box, because tradition would tell you not to even go into those venues. One. which is really funny to me because if I'm only going to churches to sing and minister, then I'm only going to be reaching most of the time. Of course, we know there's people that are not saved in church, but I'm only going to be reaching most of the time people who have already heard the word. I'm not going to be reaching anybody who hasn't heard it. I would have to go into a venue where somebody may have never heard the gospel, So if I'm only going into the church arena, then that's going to limit me. But if I go to maybe an open mic, or if I go to a lounge where they, somewhere where they're playing music, I will be able to access those type of people. We know that Jesus didn't minister in the temple all the time. Most of the time when you see Jesus, he was out and about. He was with the prostitutes. He was with the tax. He was doing that. Those are the people that he were with. He wasn't with the church people. Most of the time, the church people, the Pharisees, they were too religious anyway. So that is, that's where we have to get out of tradition that says that these people and these places are so much of the devil that we should not be there. Now, if you're a new babe in Christ and you feel like there may be a temptation somewhere that you can't handle, then maybe you might not want to do that. But if you're seasoned, you're strong enough to be able to go, we need to go out and break out of the four walls. We need to start going into different venues to be able to minister. That's why different sounds and different genres in the gospel music is going to affect people. We can't go in there saying sitting on down and things like that. That's not going to work. We have to be able to be versatile. So.
Okay, you know what? That is an excellent message for those in the gospel industry. I know some of you watching are in the gospel industry, some of you are in other industries, but listen, knowing how to communicate to those different parties, and like she said, if you are in the gospel industry and you believe that the gospel is important, then we do have to learn how to speak and communicate those different languages. For those who may not know, who are watching us, what is gospel? What does it mean to be a gospel artist? What does that mean?
Well, we all know that gospel is basically just giving the good news, and there's so many things good about Jesus. There's so many things that we can talk about, just how he is love and that, he died for us. That's just one message. We can talk about how he brings us life. And, that message can minister to anybody because all of us have experienced something that may cause death. It could be spiritual. We could have lost somebody, but gospel basically, it's music that brings life, and that's what we want to come across. When we go out and we preach to the world, it's so many things like now, especially since COVID is here. We have, racial injustice. We have so many things going on. This message is so important right now because so many people need to hear it. It's so many people just sitting in the house getting depressed because they haven't been able to go anywhere. They haven't been able to, be around their loved ones. And that's hard. That's difficult for some people. Some people don't mind because they like sitting home, but it's some people who have those, extroverted type personalities where they need to be around people, and it becomes very difficult and it's easy for them to fall into a depression. So we need to, when we're on Facebook and we're doing lives and things and we're putting out music, those are the kind of things we need to think about when we're talking about the gospel.
Excellent. Gospel, the good news. Very good. Okay, so we're nearing the end of our interview session. Can you tell people where they can find you and how they can support and purchase your new album and where they can find you on social media?
Well, if you go to just Jawanah Connor on Facebook or Jawanah Connor on Instagram, you can find my music. They're on all digital outlets. You can go on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Napster, Deezer. You can find my song, and it's just under my first name, Jawanah, and it's called So in Love. We're going to be releasing our new Christmas single, which is called A Christmas Thank You. So that should be coming out very soon. So if you just go on any of those outlets, visit me on Facebook. I often do lives. Sometimes I just do fun lives, where we're just singing different songs and different genres of music. But you're going to be seeing a lot, especially come 2021. You'll probably start seeing some of the concerts that, once the venues start and open up, Dome Music Group, we're going to be having some concerts coming up. So hopefully 2021 will open up and you'll be able to see some more live events. But yeah, if you want to support, you can hit one of those digital outlets, and I would love for you to support me.
Excellent, excellent. Please check her out. I have been knowing Miss Jawanah for many, many years, and she is a beautiful psalmist, very anointed, definitely gifted to do what she does and to impact people's lives. So you want to get connected with her. Very good. Are you ready for our Fast Five?
I hope I am.
I tell you, I ask that question. Everybody always says the same thing. Oh my goodness. Okay, I promise I won't torture you. It won't be raw.
Okay.
Okay, number one. Oh, so once again, let me explain the Fast Five. The Fast Five are 5 questions you need to answer in 5 seconds or less. So number one, your favorite family vacation.
Oh, Puerto Rico. It wasn't a family vacation, but it was a vacation for me and my husband. So it was really nice.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. What did you enjoy about that?
Puerto Rico has the most beautiful beaches. The blue water is gorgeous. And of course the food. So those were my favorite things.
That's excellent. Ooh, I've never been to Puerto Rico. I would love to go. So number two, what is the favorite thing, your favorite thing about your career?
My favorite thing about my career, wow. I think to be honest, is my favorite thing about it is I've realized that God simply just did not forget about me. And that's what stands out to me.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I love that. Okay, number three, what makes you laugh the most?
Whew. Well, what makes me laugh the most is between my husband and my kids when they're in here telling crazy jokes. Like sometimes we'll just get together and just be sitting in the living room, and my husband is like a comedian and he just has me here cracking up. And sometimes my kids do stuff. So just being in here, just laughing at people and just different things, and just they do.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Jamal, he is a comic. He will have you cracking up. And the kids, oh my gosh, they inherit that very honestly.
Yes.
They are very funny. Number four, what was the last movie that you watched and what did you think of it?
Oh, Voices of Fire. For Pharrell Williams, he did a mini series of where he had different gospel artists. You know, they weren't artists, but they were gospel singers who submitted a video. And what he did was he put together a gospel choir, and they had like 3 weeks to perform for their town. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to make it diverse. So he had Filipino girl, he had Caucasian people, he had all different types of different people from different backgrounds come together, and it was really good.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea that he did a project like that. What is it called again?
It's called Voices of Fire, and it's on Netflix.
Oh my gosh, I have to check that out. Okay, I've learned something new today. And last but not least, the last question is what is one thing that you would do if you had all the resources, time, age, nothing was a limit? What is one thing that you would do?
One thing I would do, so many things I would love to do, but definitely if I had time, resources, I would put money into children or teens who were interested in the arts, who might be interested in becoming an artist, to be able to buffer some of that, that hardcore, climb up that you have to go through in order to be able to make it in the industry. Because some people are artists at heart, so there's nothing else that they're really passionate about. But to be able to invest in them so that they can actually make a living off of it, that's something that I
That's
would do.
that's good. I love that. We may be able to collaborate on that to see that come to fruition. I like that. Oh my goodness. Well, it has been a tremendous time. Thank you so much, Miss Connor, for coming out with us and sharing from your heart, your testimony, your art, how you're impacting the community through what you do in the music ministry. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I want to give a shout out to Jenny Weaver for the Daughter of the King t-shirt. We are daughters of the King. So I really love how her ministry, it just ministers through clothes.
I love that. I like that shirt. I want me one. You're going to have to text me after and let me know where I can purchase that.
Uh-huh.
Well, guys, thanks once again for joining us for Music Mondays. Be sure to tune in next week, next Monday, to see our next guest. You don't want to miss it. Again, my name is Renee West of Alia School of Art, and find us on social media, Facebook or Instagram. Like, share, tag, repost. We want to hear from you. Until next time, we hope to see you again. Bye-bye.